and so that's exactly it. And then we'll be talking about ownership. And so one of the things that uh, and all of this has long history,
Right.
and some of it, as far as I've been able to track, in that respect, Chile was 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 a leader in that respect. It was one of the sort of the first ones to be subject to um, a this kind of restructuring or liberalization, deregulation of the electricity sector. Now, one of the things we're going to be talking about is that in the U.S. and in Canada and around the world, especially sort of since the mid 1990s and onwards, these have been fundamentally political processes that have been responding to a particular political economy, and ultimately laws passed through democratically elected governments. The contrast in Chile is that this is done under dictatorship, and it was done basically at the end of the gun. And one of the things that the economists within the military regime there took one of the things from Milton Friedman and some of the others. They were called the Chicago Boys
Right.
after having studied at the University of Chicago, very neoliberal, very conservative, very pro-market, was that they were probably the first country in the world that started to split um, the generation from transmission distribution and started to create markets for generation assets, and ultimately privatized. So this was in early 80s, and kind of was finalized in sort of mid to late 80s. And then, this was the model. And that model was ultimately then implemented in the UK under Margaret Thatcher. And then ultimately, it came to North America,
Right.
where, many states, as we'll discuss, and a number of provinces here in Canada actually went through this model that had been kind of test driven in Chile, then kind of perfected in the UK, and ultimately, arrived on these shores.